everybody. All right, so today we are talking about can the DCEU and the DCU coexist? Because there's a lot of things that I've been seeing around on the internet, and it just brings me to this topic that I want to talk about today. What up, Jack? And we're gonna take a look at some things just because this is what I've been coming across with the past few days, and it's pretty interesting. Just because there's a lot of speculation and things, nothing is official, nothing is confirmed, but just seeing some things and stuff like that. So just with those things that are just popping up left and right, it is kind of curious to see the things that people are kind of speculating. And at the same time, I am not surprised because a lot of people are right now hungry for DC content, and it's understandable. They want content, and they feel that we're just being ignored in the sense that we don't have anything, which is true. We really don't have nothing good at the moment, but it is what it is. But it's just something that we have to talk about just because good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are around the world. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in as we wait for these notifications to go out and all that good stuff. This is a topic that we will be talking about within the next few seconds, and it's going to be something interesting. All right, so you saw Avatar. It was a lot of people. It was a light Avatar 3. Yeah, I've been hearing that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how to feel about Avatar, honestly. You've been watching Base Transformers. We needed six. Yeah, I agree with you. I highly agree with you. This is something, like I said, I really want to talk about this just because there's a lot of things that are floating around on the internet right now and things like that. And, it's a lot of speculation, but at the same time, could something be cooking up behind the scenes and could something be coming from all of this, especially with this whole thing that Netflix is coming into play very soon with this whole buyout and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's talk about this. So, can the DCEU and the DCU coexist? That's a good question. Yes, when it comes to what James Gunn has done by retconning things, it's just caused more of a mess, and things are just very divided right now. When it comes to this whole fandom with DC, and just with the fans and everything that this DC brand has come down to, it's kind of confusing. But then on the other hand, you have Zack Snyder posting up pictures of the DCEU. We've seen that with Ben Affleck's Batman. We've seen that with Henry Cavill's Superman. We've seen that with so many things going on, and it's crazy. It's crazy in the sense of it just look, everything is up in the air right now, and everything is kind of confusing. So I feel just like many of you. What the hell is really going on? There's so many rumors flying around, so many things, and it just makes you confused in the sense of can they be working on something? I know recently Zach acknowledged James Gunn. He also liked the picture of Millie Alcock as Supergirl. So it just makes you wonder what's going on. So let's not ignore some things, because when Zach posts up pictures, we all tend to, hey, something is cooking and something is happening. All right, so now we're seeing that Zach is liking also pictures from James Gunn, and they're both kind of giving acknowledgement to both. I get it is within from what is it, Dawn of the Dead and stuff, when they work together and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, hey, are we just gonna pick and choose what we're gonna talk about and what are we gonna speculate on? I don't think so. With this whole thing with Netflix coming into play, that they want to buy them out, and everything that's coming into whatever's happening right now. Who knows what's being worked on behind the scenes. We know that Netflix they say they want to build new stories and build better quality entertainment or whatever the hell they want to claim and say. But at the same time, it's like, all right, let's see what they're working with, because when it comes down to it, I mean, that I honestly, I really don't know. I really don't know. None of us do. Everything is speculation right now, and everything is kind of what if, what if they're maybe working on something, and maybe that's what they want to do once things do, if the sale does happen. Again, I'm just speculating, I'm just talking. I don't know if that's what it is. None of us know. We know that the DCU has been doing terrible since day one. We know that the DCEU was on the track to the right, path with, the success and everything that Zach had put out and stuff like that. So a lot of things can come from this, a lot of things, they just could be coming from this. I don't know. Like I said, I do not know what's happening. None of us know. And it's just crazy. That's why, like I said, today I really want to focus on this mainly. Can it coexist? I know that James Gunn has been retconning things. Snyder has been posting up his stuff from the DCEU. Look, would I be, down with this? Not really. Not because of they can't coexist, but because of it's two different styles. James Gunn has his style. Zack Snyder has his style. One is light, one is bright, one is happy, one is silly, one is goofy. That's James Gunn. But at the same time, with James Gunn, look at what he's done with Peacemaker. He's done it where it's like silly, but at the same time, it's on a R rating. Where it's like, okay, he has his tone, it's darker, but he still adds the elements of laughter and comedy and all that silliness and stuff like that. We know with Zach, it's always been serious, more on the dark side instead of like goofy, silly. And when I say dark, it just means a more serious tone. I'm not saying that it's like a depressing type of universe. I'm talking about that it's a more darker tone, like Watchmen, that it's much more mature, it's much more serious. It's in that tone. It's not like how James Gunn likes to put his silly stuff out there and it's very like, a comedy type. I know Zach has done on his movies some jokes here and there with the Flash and when it's needed and stuff like that, and it works. It's worked in the in the past, like we've seen in some of the movies. But with James Gunn, everything is a comedy. Everything is a comedy. Even with Peacemaker, like the dude's getting blasted, and like we seen at the end of the Suicide Squad when we see Rick Flag Jr. when he shoots Peacemaker. He's all like gushing and he's on the ground and it's like, oh, he's gonna go out, and they're cracking jokes. So I'm like, yeah, that's James Gunn. That's his style. We already know that with Zack Snyder, we have Dark Side. It's like a bigger, more serious threat, and we know that recently James Gunn has come out and he's even said it that like he's not doing anything with Dark Side just because Zach has already done something with that. So it's like he knows he can't do anything with it. So why even bother? Which is good. I give credit to James Gunn for doing that, not touching anything with Dark Side and, you know, not interfering or anything with what Zach has, pretty much already set up with the Justice League. And, let James Gunn do whatever the hell he's doing. I mean, his DCU is just whatever the hell he wants it to be or whatever. And like I said, let Zach do what he wants to do and give him the creative control that he wants to do, how he wants to do, which is the difference. Um, it all comes down to this. Look, I get it. I know. Look, I put up a poll for the past few days, and I'm surprised. I am surprised because I've literally been trying to see what the fans out there and the audience wants, and I've put literally the polls, and you can see it. They're on my feed. That I said, can both of these two work together? Would you be okay with the Snyderverse being restored, but still taking place within and with James Gunn attached to it? A majority of y'all said yeah. I'm surprised. I am surprised. This is what it comes down to with where we are right now. I am really surprised with that to see the responses from a lot of people. And like I said, you decide. You're the fans. You're the audience. You know what you want. And majority of y'all have said yes. You voted, and you're like, yeah, I will settle and I will compromise. And that's a shocker to me, honestly. That just shows you that right now, unfortunately, the fandom is desperate. Is desperate. You'll take anything. And that's not good. That's not good because then now you're telling Netflix and you're telling whoever's going to buy Warner Brothers, if it does happen, that hey, put out whatever. We just want content and we'll settle with it. That's what you're pretty much telling the studios. And don't think that they're not taking notes. I'm tagging them and they're seeing it. So we're still going to see probably the DCU continue. And even if it does sell or whatever the hell's going to happen from it, don't be surprised from whatever comes from it. I know that many of you are like, yo, like this is going to change. Things are going to, be better and whatever. I'm telling you straight up. I'm telling you straight up. I don't even know how to feel right now. Like it's kind of concerning because it just shows you that I guess majority of the fans are giving up. They are. Let's be real. They're giving up, and they're like, "I'll settle for anything as long as we get DC content," and it's showing it. It's proof. Majority of y'all are voting, and it's literally there on the poll that I just posted recently. I did two or three different polls. Rearranged the words, but it's pretty much the same thing. Like, are you okay with Zack Snyder and James Gunn both working on DC projects? And majority of y'all are saying yes, that it's okay. You will compromise. But then it confuses me because I'm like, I thought Zack Snyder said don't compromise, and people are okay with it. That's the part, that completely throws me off guard. Um, I don't know if it's gun bots, honestly, but yeah, that tells you a lot. That really says a lot. And I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this, honestly. Can they both coexist? My answer is no. I'm being honest with you. They cannot coexist. At this point, they just can't. Even if they try to retcon, they try to connect it, they try to use a multiverse, whatever they try and whatever they want to do, I don't think at this point it's even doable. And like this is how messy DC has become. This is how messy it's become. And it's sad. It really is because now people are like, yo, I'll take whatever. And when you take whatever, this is why we're getting what we're getting. And this is the part that worries me because, look, let's be real. All right. Let's just say that Netflix does acquire WB and everything gets approved by the Department of Justice and, with the government and whatever the hell is going to come from it. So be it. Let's just say, right, a year from now, all right, next year in 2026, that things do, move forward and they end up being, the parent company of them. What is that going to tell you? That Netflix is going to be like, hey, well, the fans are willing to take whatever we give them. And look, I've been tagging them, I've been tagging them on Twitter, literally to Netflix and DC and Warner Brothers. So don't think people are not watching. They're watching. They're aware. I'm sure they're taking notes of these polls. So whatever comes from this is pretty much coming from the fandom. All right, like I'll be honest with you, these are real people that are pretty much voting on this. My account's legit. I don't pay no sponsorship. I don't pay no ads. I don't pay nothing. My account is straight up, yo, raw, real, and uncut. I don't have anything that's on auto or paying or none of that crap. You know, so you have these people all over voting. You can see all those votes, and it just telling you, hey, this is what people really want. That is kind of concerning, because people are like, yo, I'll settle for anything right now. And I get it. I get it because people are hungry, I want DC content also. Like, I want some good DC content, not just anything. When I go to a restaurant, I'm not gonna just order and take whatever the hell the waiter, the waitress tells me, hey, this is what the house special is. I don't care about what the house special is. I want what I want, period. That's why I'm paying for it. That's why when it comes to what DC is doing, and when fans are just like, yo, whatever, I'll take whatever, then these studios are taking notes. And they're going to be like, hey, well, we've seen these polls. This is what majority of the fans want. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna tell y'all straight up. I would not be surprised if Netflix does acquire them, like majority of y'all want. But like I've been telling y'all, you reap what you sow. Always remember that. I'm telling you. If we do end up getting Netflix and then they want to make and expand and do whatever the hell that they want with these brands, and then you start seeing that, hey, they're trying to make both of these universes in the sense of DCU and the DCEU coexist and put them together just because, and they're like, you know what? Hell, let's just combine them all, make them work some way, somehow. The same way that they're retconning things, they could go back and still retcon things and connect them and whatever the hell they want from that, right? Later, don't come crying. I'm telling y'all right now. Don't come crying. Don't come complaining and saying, oh, I'm not happy with this and I'm not happy with that. Majority of y'all have already spoken and are choosing that you want Netflix. Netflix is known for being shady. And you might be like, oh, but you were with the whole cell and you were with Restore the Snyderverse. And as long as we're getting content, this and that. No. No, I'm not gonna settle for anything. Honestly, and we shouldn't. We should just be like, yo, what we want is what we want, not what these studios are going to continue and think. You know, look, there's an interview that Nerdrotic did with Zachary Levi. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And he pointed out some things. The studios don't care. It's the executives now that are making the decisions. It's the shareholders. And he put a good point out there. He's saying straight up, hey, it's about what they think is best for business. They don't care. They hear us, they see us, but they don't care. They think that they know what's best for business. And in the end, whatever comes from it, so be it. And that's the slop that's coming out. So they're like, yo, people are still paying, people are still watching. Who cares? This is why you see that DC was recently, hey, as long as we get our 500 million from Superman with James Gunn, we're good. As long as we make budget, that's it. As long as we make what we spend on it, that's it. That's the new norm. That's the new mentality that DC and WB are at right now. This is what I foretold y'all, and I let y'all know. I was like, you're going to try to see that they're going to try to normalize and say a flop, it's okay. Because this is a new, route that they're taking. This is their new universe. It's the beginning of something, blah, blah, blah. You know? And yeah, it was a good interview. Very good interview. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Very, very good interview. Zachary Levi was on point with that interview. I'm telling you, it's with Nerd Erotic. I think it just came out within the past few days. I don't know. I just came across it today. He made some very good points. And he's telling you and emphasizing you, these studios do not give a F about anything. They only care about money. And I get it. It's about money. But at the same time, you got to do it right. Don't just put out slop and continue to put slop, because this is where they are right now. They're losing money, If the DCU with James Gunn was doing so well, they wouldn't be in this situation. But after all these years, it's finally caught up. It's completely caught up. And this is where they are right now. Financially, the studio is literally up for sale, and everything that continues to come out from it, all these rumors and all the speculation, it's because they're doing bad financially. WB has been doing bad for a while, and everything has finally caught up. And especially when it comes to the DC brand. The DC brand is something massive for Warner Brothers. This is not something small. It's not a small IP. It's something big. And when you have Netflix that's going after it, Paramount, Comcast, Apple, Amazon, all of these corporate giants, they just want those IPs because they know that they're going to sell like hot bread. Now, we're already seeing what Marvel is doing, all right? Why do I say and I bring up Marvel? Very simple. Marvel is going back to what was working. What was working before Endgame? Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., all those actors and actresses. Let's be real. Everything was supposed to literally end at Endgame. But did it? No. Everything is now with the multiverse, and everything is semi-connected. It's connected. It's opening a door. Whatever the hell's coming from it, right? The reason why I say this is because, plain and simple, Disney knows that they messed up by doing what they did with Endgame. After Endgame, the damage was too far to be repaired. And you might be asking yourself, what do you mean? With the streaming shows, Loki didn't work. WandaVision didn't work. Whatever other shows came after that, they didn't work. Because the audience, instead of being, interested, they all started slowly scattering away, and people just got tired of it and stuff like that. And it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. But at the same time, it's no surprise, and it's pretty wild. It is wild, and seeing what Disney's doing right now, they're just trying to fix their mistake. They are trying to fix everything that they screwed up with Endgame. This is why they're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. They're bringing Chris Evans. They're bringing all these actors, actresses. You know why? Because that was making them money. They know it. They know that was making them money. And in the end, that's what it's all about. You have to focus on what was making you money. Doomsday is setting up everything very, very big. I'm telling you right now. Meanwhile, DC is still trying to figure out what phase one they're in. And it's sad. It's sad. They've been in phase 1 and 2 for over 10 years. Let's be real. Let's be real. They didn't let Zach do his thing. They kept on interfering. They always wanted to go away It was always something. It was always a but with him, right? But with James Gunn, they let him have 100% control. He could do what he wants, how he wants, whatever the hell he pleases, right? But in the end, has it worked? Realistically, no. It just hasn't worked. But WB thinks that, oh yeah, with James Gunn, they saved the brand. They saved it, right? How did it save the brand when you're claiming victory, saying that as long as you make budget, you're okay? That's the sad part. You're okay with, hey, as long as we make our budget, we're good. Look, Marvel, look, I get your comment right now. Marvel decided to do the MCU and failed. That's exactly true. I understand. Now they're going back to program. That's true. They're trying to go back because they're trying to repair the mess that they had before. Where is DC right now? DC is in the same condition. They, regardless, without Zack Snyder, right? Without Zack Snyder, where has DC gone? Down the DCEU route. You don't believe me? Birds of Prey. You don't believe me? Look at where we are right now. What are we looking at right now? Who's going to be the one up next that's going to be the center of stage? Millie Alcock with Supergirl. All right. What did we see with James Gunn's Superman 2025? That Superman, he's a weak man. And again, the strong female agenda empowerment movement. That's what we're seeing. Superman can't do the job himself, but he's the Man of Steel, right? This dude is so powerful. He's a god. And how did James Gunn portray him? As a clown, literally as a clown. That tells you everything. That's how James Gunn feels about it. Now you have James Gunn saying that Batman is a boring character. What is that telling you? The head of DC Studios, the CEO of DC Studios, is saying that these characters suck. That's exactly how he feels. That's what he feels like. Meanwhile, you see Marvel is bringing back the Russo brothers. They're fixing things. They're trying to repair the damage that they messed up and they did themselves. Look, yesterday I put up a post, right, with the video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out when you can. That there's a rumor going around that Netflix apparently is apologizing to Henry Cavill and they want him back. And they want to focus on Henry Cavill again as Superman. Look, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. Because if they really wanted to, they would go public. Just like they went public with, hey, look, we're taking over WB and we're buying them out. Oh, you didn't have no problem going public with that, right? How about you go public and acknowledge that, hey, on behalf of the studio of DC, we want to apologize publicly, and we want to fix things. That's it. It's not hard, right? Again, talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. And what are we seeing? We're seeing the same garbage. I know some of you are like, oh, well, I believe in Netflix. Netflix is going to fix it. Netflix is going to repair it. I believe in Netflix. You know what you're sounding like? To all the people that support Netflix, you all sound no different. Let me repeat that. You sound no different than what a political campaign sounds like. It all sounds the same. And it's smelling exactly like if it's a political campaign, a political ad. Why would David Zaslav turn down $108 billion from Paramount and settle for, what is it, 82.7, whatever the hell Netflix is offering? You seriously have to be a shill to turn that offer down. Let's be real. Let's be real, honestly. And it's wild. It's wild. Andrew, James Gunn's Batman. I laugh, I cry, I'm Batman. Soy Gunn needs to stay far, far away from Batman. That's true. I agree with you. That's what we're going to be. That's what we're going to be seeing with James Gunn very soon with his Batman. Say what you want, but that is a fact right there. James Gunn's Batman is going to be a complete joke. I can only picture that. I can only imagine Batman saying that. I laugh, I cry, I'm Batman. I see that happening. Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate that. But I'm telling you right now, this is what's coming this way. To everybody that's like, oh, I roll with Netflix and James Gunn, just remember, when things don't go the way that you wanted and you thought, don't come crying back. I'm telling you, because you're part of the problem. That's a fact. That is a fact. Because you will settle and compromise. You don't believe me? That's what the polls are showing. All right? I put those test polls to see where majority of the fandom stays and where they lie at. And they have proven otherwise. They're giving up. They're giving up, honestly. And it's crazy. It's crazy. When you have DC, all right, let's be real. Before James Gunn, before Zack Snyder, before Christopher Nolan, let's go back to what was working. What was making the studio money? Before we ever got the Schumacher universe, right? What was working? Tim Burton. Tim Burton, right? How was Batman of 89? It was dark. How was Batman Returns? It was darker. It was so dark that the Happy Meal toys at McDonald's got pulled away because it was so controversial. It was controversial. It was toys. Why? Because we had Danny DeVito as Penguin. He was dark in that movie. We had the beautiful, sexy Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. She was too sexy for the people of that time, of that era, if you want to say. And what happened? Oh, no, it's too controversial. Catwoman can't be too sexy. Penguin can't be too dark because he bit that guy in the nose. He has little penguins and he's strapping rockets and blowing up, he's about to blow up Gotham. What is that telling you? That that's a dark, serious universe, all right? And then after DC got all that money from the 1989 Batman, right? That changed cinema. That's way before Christopher Nolan, Zack Snyder, and what we have right now, right? And what were people liking? That's what they were enjoying back then. Because DC has always been dark. Dark in the sense of more serious. It's not about jokes. It's not about telling all this comedy. No, it's about a darker, more mature type of universe. And Tim Burton kicked that off first. And then, after it being so controversial, what are we seeing? We enter the Joel Schumacher era. And we start seeing how silly, bright, ridiculous Batman and the characters have become. Let's be real. It was a complete, it was a parody. It was, honestly. And it's crazy how WB thought at that time, hey, you know what? Let's make it more and more colorful. Let's make it more silly, more ridiculous. And look at what happened. We got two movies. We went from Batman Forever to Batman and Robin. And Batman and Robin was even worse. Yes, it's a guilty pleasure type of movie because of what it was. But seriously, it's not a good movie. It really isn't. The costumes are okay. It's the corny dialogue, the story, everything that comes with it. It's just, unfortunately, it's terrible. And what happens? A few years pass. And then what happens? We get introduced to Batman again with Batman Begins with Christopher Nolan. Things change. Cinema changed. Things wanted to go a little bit more serious because that's what Christopher Nolan brought with the Dark Knight trilogy. He gave us in 3 movies a version of Batman of what he would be in our modern time, right? During those, during that time and stuff like that. That passes. What do we get after that? We get the beginning of the DCEU, which is the original DCU, which was Man of Steel in 2013. That kicked off everything. How was Man of Steel compared to what we saw before? All the other Superman movies that we saw previously were all silly. They were all corny. The underwear on the outside. Zack Snyder with Christopher Nolan, Henry Cavill, they changed the game. Again, they redefined cinema and they were like, hold on, we have to do something different. And that's what we saw with, Man of Steel. I remember seeing the trailer for Man of Steel and I was like, whoa, this is different. This is a different Superman. I was like, I'm on board with this. I was like, hold on, they're making Superman like the Dark Knight? Like, okay, I like where this is heading. This is different. And what happened? Boom. The beginning, the birth of the DCEU. The true original DCU. Because back in what? I think it was like 2012, before we got Man of Steel, or I think it was after Man of Steel, before we got Batman versus Superman. You see Zack Snyder at San Diego Comic-Con, and you see all the people, at Hall H and stuff, and then they play the trailer for Batman versus Superman. Everybody loses their mind. That thing was just nuts, right? I'm getting chills just talking about it. And where were the fans there? They all showed up. They went out to the movies. They bought tickets. They rewatched the movie. Sales were going good. All these years, all right? We get the Snyderverse. Let's fast forward time to where we are right now. Things kick in with James Gunn. What did they want to do? Retcon, get away, erase. James Gunn, you had the chance. You literally had the chance to continue the DCEU. You literally did it. You tried to, but you turned it into a joke. You disrespected everything so bad that you replaced Ben Affleck's Batman in the flush with George Clooney. I take that as a fan, I take that as an insult. I'm like, this dude's just straight up making fun of us right in our face. And that's what he's done. So James Gunn did not save DC. He just didn't. And it's crazy. It's crazy when it all comes down to it, how fans back in the 90s with Joel Schumacher and, you know, Batman Forever and Batman Begins. I mean, not Batman Begins, Batman and Robin. It's crazy. It's crazy how those fans back then thought, oh, we're eating good. We're eating good and we're on the right track. And look at how bad that failed. We look back and we're like, what the hell were they thinking? That's exactly what's happening right now with DC. We're in the same situation with James Gunn, all these projects that he's put out. The DCU officially kicked off, and don't come at me different. It officially kicked off with an animated cartoon R-rated show, which was Creature Commandos. That's what kicked off James Gunn's DCU, an animated cartoon show. All right? That's the official start of it. Don't tell me otherwise. He even said it. That's the official start. What comes after that? Peacemaker. What comes after that? Superman. Where are we heading to right now? With Supergirl. And we're already seeing how silly the trailer looks like for Supergirl. We're already hearing the bad reviews of the screenings that they're doing with Supergirl. This is bad. This is bad for DC, for the fans, for everyone. It's crazy. It's wild, but it's not a surprise. It really isn't a surprise. Now, when you have fans saying, yo, yes, both universes can coexist, it's okay. As long as we get, you know, content and we're eating, then it's all good. That's where I draw the line. I draw the line there. Now, when you have Zach liking a picture of Millie as Supergirl, and you have him, I get it. He's, you know, acknowledging James Gunn because they worked together on Dawn of the Dead. Hey, Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite movies as a zombie fan. Honestly, I like that movie. I get it. I get it that James Gunn wrote it, but there's still another person that rewrote what James Gunn had wrote originally. Let's not forget that. Let's not hide the elephant in the room. All right. Let's be real. James Gunn wrote it originally, but then it got rewritten by another person. And I can't remember right now from the top of my head. So what is that telling you? They still had to proofread his work and still correct it. Whatever. That movie's still good. It's one of my favorites when it comes to zombie movies. Now, this kind of worries me, and I'll tell you why right now. When it comes to just the topic of zombies, I'll tell you why. Because real quick, when you have Netflix, right, that wants to buy, and apparently they're going to buy Warner Brothers, whatever the hell that they're trying to do. Look, you all know me. I love Resident Evil. But I cannot and I will not say that Netflix did a great job at making that series of Resident Evil for their streaming service. It's just, to me, is unacceptable. What Zack Snyder did for Dawn of the Dead with James Gunn, cool. I liked it. He reimagined it. He remade it. Whatever. It was different. I liked it. I really do like it. Now, why do I compare those two? Because when you have Netflix that had at the moment when they did Resident Evil, they had the IP rights and they did what they did with that show. It was only one season and it got canceled because it was crap. It was bad. It really, really was bad. If you haven't seen it, look at clips. That show sucked. It didn't make it to season 2. It was terrible. If you think that seeing She-Hulk twerking with Cardi B on the actual show was bad, guess what? They do something similar just like that in that Resident Evil show of Netflix. Now, Netflix is known for being a show company. Netflix is known for putting whatever the hell they feel like. What makes you think that they won't do something similar if they were to have DC? And of course, if they continue with James Gunn and they want to throw Zach's universe into the mix. You think they're going to do different? No. No, they're not. If Netflix already screwed over Henry Cavill once, don't you think that they would do it again? I do. Some of you might disagree and be like, oh, but see, as you're so negative, how come you never give it a chance? How come you always got to say something negative? Because I'm realistic. I'm not living in a fairy tale. And I see the true side of what can happen. Let's be real. If Netflix wanted right now, let's be real, to really show us what it's all about, talk is cheap. Show me with actions. You were quick to say that you were going to buy Warner Brothers, right? The seal hasn't even been official. It's not a done deal. It's just word of mouth right now. You still haven't gone through everything that the government has to approve to see if this is a monopoly and whatever, right? And you're already claiming victory. Things could change. Remember in Batman Returns, I always love to say this. In Batman Returns, when you see Batman walking up to Penguin and Penguin is trying to claim to be the mayor, Batman tells him, you're not the mayor. And Penguin tells him, things change, meaning I'm rigging all of this. And then Batman tells him, you're not the mayor. And then Penguin says, things change. And then Penguin tells Batman, you don't really think you'll win, do you? And Batman tells him, things change. That's exactly how I'm telling each and every one of you. This whole Netflix deal, a lot of people are getting carried away and thinking, yo, we've won. We haven't won nothing yet. We haven't. Let's be real. They're just saying all this because it's among corporations. And I'm telling you now, things change. Don't think that Paramount is off the table. Don't think that Comcast is off the table. Remember, next month, all right? Next month, we haven't heard anything different. But starting literally in a few weeks, Comcast comes into play with HBO Max. Is that going to change? Is that not going to happen because of this whole Netflix deal? We don't know. Nobody knows. We have no idea. Everything is right now up in the air. I would love for something to happen. And I want it to happen already. Whatever it is, whether it sells or it doesn't sell. I just want good content. That's it. That's it. If Netflix really cared about theatrical releases, all of a sudden, we're going to focus and shift to theatrical releases. Why you didn't do that before? Why you didn't do that 2 or 5 years ago? Why you didn't do that 10 years ago, huh? Before the pandemic. Oh, all of a sudden now because it's convenient, because again, you're sounding like politicians and you want to win the people so they can say, yeah, sell it to Netflix. Oh, I support and I bow down to Netflix. I'm bending 2 knees for Netflix. Screw that. I'm not bending no knee. Talk is cheap right now. Talk is cheap. And things are going to change. All of this is just going to do a flip 360. And I don't know why, but I have a feeling that something's going to change last minute. I don't know why. I do not know why. Yeah, exactly. The Witcher 2, a lot of people are saying that. And I don't even watch it. And they're like, yo, this thing is woke. That's what they did with Resident Evil. They turned Resident Evil woke as hell. Woke as hell. How the hell you turn Resident Evil, a show, a brand of zombies, into woke content? Because that's what Netflix loves to push. I'm surprised they haven't done that with One Piece yet. I love their One Piece show. I love it. I can't wait to see what season 2 is going to bring, but I'm kind of nervous because this is where things start changing with the company. Season 1, whoa, it was lovely, it was entertaining, it was beautiful. And I was like, hell yeah, they stayed true to what the source is. But now let's see what season 2 is going to bring, because that's when things tend to change. And that's the part that kind of worries me. And if they were to acquire WB and DC, don't think that they'll do otherwise. They'll do the same thing because it's in their nature. Netflix only cares about streaming. In the end, that's all Netflix only cares about. They've always been about, well, you know what? Yeah, we're going to throw that on streaming. And they'll probably put out a season. Oh, wow, this is what we needed. This is what we wanted. And guess what? Low key, they cancel shows. They cancel projects. They cancel actors and actresses because it's not good for them to keep on investing money in. That's the problem. After they've made so much money, they're like, yeah, you know what? We're not going to continue with it anymore. Why? Oh, because it's too expensive. And it is. As the next season continues, they have to get, they have to renew the rights and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So it's going to be much more expensive because, of course, whoever owns the IP of whatever brand, they're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to we're going to increase the price. And speaking about increasing prices, guess what, baby? Netflix, once they own WB, HBO Max, and they own all these IPs, guess what they're going to do? There's something called they're going to jack up prices. Now, if you're okay with that, then you too are part of the problem. Why? Because you will settle for anything. Look, let's be real. When all these companies say, hey, we're going to increase the prices, even even when you're paying for a service, a premium, right? And they still throw ads in it, why are you even wasting your money on it? Why? Honestly, why? Look, many of you know that I play Fortnite. Many of you know that I enjoy that game. But what I do not like, especially with this new season, is that everything is a microtransaction. Before they would give you, you would grind and you would get your free stuff, and you can add up and whatever you want to get, and it will help you. Now Epic Games has made it very difficult where you're grinding and it feels like you're never going to achieve it because they want you to spend on microtransactions. It's easier for these corporations to say, you know what? We want you to get this free skin, quote unquote, right? Or this free, whatever freebie we're giving you. But guess what? There's a catch. You have to do it under our terms and condition. Last year, when they came, during the holiday season, you can pile up all your rewards and get them all at once. Now, if you don't get it today and you missed out yesterday, guess what? You can't get it back. That's what they're doing. And Netflix is going to do the same. Once they have this content, they're going to do the same thing. Don't think that they're not. And don't think that they're not going to raise prices. They're going to increase the prices even more. If right now you think it's expensive for whatever service they're giving us, once they acquire WBDC, they have to make their money back. They're going to be like, hey, we promised these shareholders a certain amount of money. We have to make that money. And probably in a year, they're going to raise the price 3 times every 6 or every 3 months. That is going to be a scumbag move. And that's what Netflix does. They don't care. Netflix is going to be like, yo, we own these IPs now. We get to do what we want. Netflix was so interested in buying WB that they don't even care about the gaming side. They don't care about the Arkham games. They don't care about any other games. They only care about owning the DC IPs. Because what I think is going to happen is if they do end up buying all of WB with DC, whatever IPs, everything, Harry Potter, all that crap, they're going to probably try to do what Hasbro has been doing recently. You might be asking yourself, what the hell does Hasbro have to do any of this? Very simple. Hasbro owns many IPs. Recently, they acquired Power Rangers. They own Transformers, blah, blah, blah. They do a lot of crossovers. They like to do a lot of whatever it is with crossovers and stuff like that. What they did recently is, since they're in so much debt, Hasbro, they've had to literally lease out their Power Rangers license to Playmates. Playmates are the ones that are paying Hasbro. Hasbro doesn't have to put out anything. They're like, you know what? We're just getting paid for the license. That's their problem if they sell or if they don't sell any merchandise. And that's what we're seeing right now. The sales for Power Rangers, unfortunately, are doing bad, but Playmates still has to pay a percentage to Hasbro for the license. And that's what I see Netflix wanting to do. They're going to be like, well, we own Batman. We're going to lease it to this company so they can make a video game, about it. And when they see that they can't do it, can't come through, that company is still going to have to pay whoever owns Warner Brothers. Because, of course, all these video games that are made with DC and stuff, they fall under WB. Whoever owns WB holds the key to say, hey, well, you didn't deliver, you still have to pay us. See what I'm saying? All they care about is owning the IP. They don't really care about saying, hey, look, we really care about all this content, so we're going to do what we can with it. No, I think they just want to own the IPs so they can say, you know what, we're going to lease all of this because that's where they're going to make the money the most. And it's going to come down to movies, streaming, shows, and the list continues. That's the part that worries me. Now, when it all comes down to it, of course, going back to topic, but still staying off topic, when you have a company like Netflix that literally all these years they've literally they're the pioneers, all right? They're the pioneers of streaming. Thanks to them, we have Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Hulu, whatever the hell out there streaming service there is, right? Peacock and whatever many more there is. They know that they run the streaming service. And they know that they could get away with it by upcharging and saying, you know what? Hey, we could charge the client more and we could still make money regardless. And that's what they're doing. They're doing a fantastic job with it, unfortunately. But, you know, can something come from all of this? With DC, I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, talk is cheap right now. The studio has to prove otherwise, especially once they acquire it. And let's see what they're gonna do. Let's see what they're gonna do. Do you think Gunn Superman is woke? Yes, it is. Very, very woke. To you, especially when you get these freaking themes that it's all about woke propaganda BS. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all about propaganda. Unfortunately, that's what everything with James Gunn is all about. If you don't see that, meaning anybody doesn't see that, then you're clearly not seeing that point of view. You're not aware of how they literally try to throw it in your face. The moment that that movie starts, I was like, okay, yeah, they're making the man weak, that he's not strong, which is Superman. We know Superman is a god, he's strong, whatever, blah blah, or at least he has those powers and things. And from beginning of the movie of Superman from James Gunn to literally the end, he's getting his ass handed. He's getting thrown all over the place. Even the dog beats his ass. Supergirl, she insults him, disrespects him. They don't respect Superman. They really don't. I can only imagine what James Gunn is going to put out once he makes Superman, if we make it that far. And my question comes down to, again, can the DCEU and the DCU coexist? And especially with what James Gunn has been doing recently, retconning things, pulling things, keeping certain actors, actresses. He wants to move forward with this, but then he wants to go back with that. It's still connected, semi-connected, not connected. It might be connected. You see how confusing that sounds? That's what James Gunn has brought to the IP and the brand of DC. Unfortunately, that's what it is. And when you have some fans, okay, saying, hey, I'll take that over anything, and especially nothing. Yeah, I can't back that up. I just can't. And seeing how all these things are right now, Zach liking stuff from James Gunn and vice versa, that kind of gives me, are are they finally acknowledging each other? Is the studio saying, "Hey, we want everybody to work together. We want to be like Marvel again." See what I'm saying? Again, like Marvel. Because now Marvel, instead of having the fandom divided, they're trying to unite the fandom. How? We've seen it. Deadpool and Wolverine. You have the old fans, the current fans, and it's building up the new fans, the future fans, right? And that's what they're doing now with the next Avengers movie. They're trying to do the same thing. They're like, you know what? Instead of keeping the fandom divided, we're going to try to keep it united. But how do you do that? Very simple. You just try to connect everything that's within this universe. They have a multiverse. They have everything that they've done with that. Has it fully worked? Not really, but it's somewhat still working for them, I guess. So we're going to see how all of that's going to escalate and how everything is going to literally, throw us into the next phase of Marvel, which is Doomsday. And I get it. Some of you might be like, oh, well, what the hell, Doomsday, Fantastic Four was crap. Let's be real. Fantastic Four doesn't really have a huge following like that. It just doesn't. I didn't watch it, don't care about it, never been interested. That's just where I stand as a fan. Now, I am excited for the next Avengers movie. You might be asking yourself, but hold on, what the hell does Avengers have to do with this? We're talking about DC. That's Marvel. Exactly. The point that I'm trying to emphasize is the following. If Marvel can get their act together and get their, their universe and trying to fix it by repairing what's damaged and done, then how come DC can't do the same thing? Who are we to say, what if, and I wouldn't be surprised if this does happen, if they're bringing in Zach and they've talked already with him and said, hey, we'll bring you on board, but it has to connect with some way with what James Gunn is doing. I get it. Some of you are going to be like, oh, no, but this and that. The thing is, what if that's what Netflix wants? What if low key that's what they want? Who are we to say, oh, I don't want that? What if they really want to throw in Crisis on Infinite or Infinite Crisis, whatever the hell that thing is called, where they have everyone and everything in one big shared universe? Because, like I've been saying, the only thing that could go up against the Avengers is not James Gunn's DCU. Hell no. Let's be real. The only thing that could go up against the Avengers and Marvel is Zack Snyder's Justice League. And if you want to really go all out and make it even more massive, and they want to throw in James Gunn stuff, if that's what the studio wants, what the hell? What the hell? Do I want that? No. Can they do that? If they want to. That's the thing. And that's the part that worries me because when majority of the fans are voting on the polls that I'm putting and saying, would you be okay with Zack Snyder and James Gunn and would you compromise? You literally just went the opposite of what we're fighting for. If Zack Snyder has told us, and he literally subliminally told us, don't compromise, and most of the fans are compromising and saying, well, you know what? Uh, I don't really care anymore as long as we get something. I just don't care. And I'm starting to hear all type of excuses. And that's the part that worries me. When you have some of the fans saying, well, I just don't care at this point. As long as James Gunn or Zack Snyder, blah, 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 and they come out with an excuse. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, let's be real. I don't want that. I really don't want. It's wild, you know? And it just worries me seeing how fans will compromise and settle for anything. And I'm like, you know what? This is the reason why we are in this situation. In the situation that the studio that owns, DC, right? Warner Brothers, that they put out whatever the hell they want. They don't care. They don't care. They only care when it's convenient for them. And the only way to show them, and if Netflix does acquire them, is continue to keep those wallets closed. Now we fully lock them and say, you know what? Now playtime is over. We've already gone through a merger with AT&T. We've already gone through the nonsense of different regimes of, empower, whatever the hell. We've already gone through everything, right? Now Netflix is going to be up against us. And as fans, we have to let them know we're not going to settle for anything. We're not going to say, hey, we're going to eat whatever you give us. No, you have to give us what we want. Because in the end, if you do not give us what we want, in other words, no Snyderverse, no money. Plain and simple. We have to tell them exactly how and what we want. Of course, respectfully, but telling them, hey, we're not on board with this. We want what we want. Because in the end, it's about giving the customer, like they say, oh, we want to, give the customer the experience and all this corporate talk, right? Like I said, talk is cheap. You can go ahead and come up with all your corporate talk that you want. To me, talk is cheap. I've been around many corporate people. I've been around all these corporate meetings. I personally know that they're all full of shit. And Netflix is not an exception. They are the same, if not worse. They're just like politicians. They know how to sweet talk you. That's what it is. They know how to use these sweet words and tell you what's convenient so they can get points with the masses, meaning with the audience, and say, hey, vote for us and we promise. That sounds like political talk to me. Don't come at me with that garbage. I see right through you. Netflix, if you really want to win majority of the fandom, stop talking and start proving with your actions. The same way you went public and you said, hey, we're buying Warner Brothers. You literally send an email to all your subscribers. How about you do the same thing and tell everyone, hey, look, the moment since day one comes into play, this is what we plan to do with DC. Are you going to move forward with James Gunn? Are you going to cancel James Gunn and fire him? Are you going to move forward with Zack Snyder? Are you going to restore the Snyderverse? Are you going to merge both universes? And if so, how are you going to do it? How are you going to undo the damage that's already been caused by James Gunn? That's my question. That's what I want to know. That's why when it all comes down to it, honestly, again, it comes down to it. Can the DCEU and the DCU coexist? To me, honestly, as a real fan, customer, and consumer, my answer is, and I stand firmly with what I'm going to say, no. Hell no. They cannot coexist. I get that some fans might be like, oh, but you don't know, and until you give them a chance, then that's the only way that things could probably work out. And look, I'm tired of hearing excuses. I really am. I'm tired of giving money to a company that really doesn't care. How many years have we been supporting Warner Brothers? And has Warner Brothers really given us what we want without us asking? No, no. They gave us Batman versus Superman. They were supposed to release the ultimate cut. We fought and we got the ultimate cut. We're still fighting for David Ayer's Suicide Squad. We have two versions, Studio Squad, and then we got, I think it's the unrated cut or whatever. But we still need the Ayer cut. That will be three different versions of one movie. Think about that. That's not our fault. That's the studio's fault. We got two versions of Justice League. We got with Joss Whedon, the Disney version, and then we have the real deal version with Zack Snyder and the Snyder Cut. And that tells you, that is telling you, people want quality. People have had enough with everything that has to do with all of this trash that's out, you know, literally out here in this dump. People are fed up with it. People just want good entertainment. That's all it is. People want good entertainment, and people just want to sit and unplug from reality to be able to see, all these movies at their peak. Because cinema overall, not just DC, we're talking about movies in general, especially the ones that don't care about the fans, that they claim that they quote unquote claim that they love the fans and they want to give the fans service, blah blah blah. Look, that's just gibberish. It really is. Because if they really cared, they would just put out content. Look, I like to use always the example of the Fast and the Furious, that IP with Universal. I get it. Some people are gonna be like, "Oh, don't even get me started. It's not even anymore what it is anymore." Blah blah. Yeah, that's true. I 100% agree with you. It was about cars. It was about fast races, all that stuff, right? The movie started picking up, and like everything, once it goes commercial, once it goes mainstream, they are where they are right now. They're literally flying cars into space. I don't even want to imagine what the next movie is going to be. But the point is that those movies are entertaining. That's all that matters. They're entertaining. You don't have to be like, well, can't watch this and can't watch the other one because this is too strong for kids, or this is just too silly. No, you can just watch it. It's for everyone, right? Can we say the same thing with DC? No. Why? Because DC, in other words, Warner Brothers has allowed this mess to continue and to happen. Look at what we were. Where were we with Zack Snyder? We know that that was an R-rated universe, but WB kept on. Well, let's keep on trying the Marvel formula. Let's keep on doing what Disney is doing, but it's not working. It never worked, and now we are with James Gunn where we are right now, and it tells you, hey, it's still not working. Meanwhile, you got Zack Snyder posting up pictures of Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot. The list continues, right? And it trends. People talk about it. Everybody's talking about it. You got shills talking about it, regular moviegoers, you got bloggers. Everybody is talking about it, right? And meanwhile, James Gunn, nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. Not enough people. What is that showing you? That the real true customer fan demand is within the Snyderverse and the DCEU. While we're seeing how Supergirl's trailer is coming out, and we're hearing these early screenings, how poorly and terrible they're doing, it's telling you and it's showing you, hey, this is where they are. It's not working. It's still not working. So Netflix, listen up. Comcast, Paramount, whoever the hell wants to buy Warner Brothers, whoever in the end is going to own them, whether it sells or it doesn't, let's go back to what was working. And that was with Zack Snyder. Without all of this comedy and all this silliness, we've seen how silly and raunchy everything with James Gunn has been. We've seen it with Peacemaker. We've seen it. That's how they love to push whatever the hell agenda that they're trying to push. And people are tired of that. People are exhausted. People just want good stories. People just want good characters. People want good scripts. People just want things that they can relate to, that they can enjoy, that they can just say, you know what, let me unplug from reality and let me actually, watch this and really make the best of it. That's what we want. We want all of that. We literally cannot just accept and say, you know what? Yeah, just give us whatever the hell you want. Just give us what you want. Zachary Levi in that interview. Look, I'm gonna tell you straight up. If you haven't seen that interview with Nerdrotic and Zachary Levi, watch it. He even brings up the topic of Batgirl. He's like, they spent, meaning WB spent $80 million on that product, right? Just to say, nah, we're not going to release it. We're just going to do a tax write off. Of course, because it was more convenient for them. They were like, yeah, nah, we're not going to put this out. And then David Zaslav comes out and he's like, yeah, it wasn't good, this and that. Nah, 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 nah. You're lying to me. I know that there's something good in there. You know why? Because it was supposed to have Ben Affleck's Batman, that he was supposed to be working with Leslie Grace's Batgirl in that universe. All right. So when you have that, you had the same Gordon, Commissioner Gordon from Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's canon. And you had Michael Keaton that was going to open the doors for Batman Beyond. And you guys literally said, no, that's not going to be good. No, that's bullcrap. You know what that's called? That's called you're scared of putting out good quality because you know that the fans are going to eat it up. They're going to love it. They're going to enjoy it. And they want more of it instead of what James Gunn is doing. Because once James Gunn came on board, he said, nope, nope, nope. We're canceling all of that because I don't want to lead up to no false hope. Get out of here with that crap. You don't want to lead us into false hope. That's what's going to bring you money. That's what was going to make you money. You screwed up and you dropped the ball again, James Gunn. You had the opportunity since day one. And every single time the ball was tossed to you, you kept on dropping it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. If Netflix, you are the ones to end up owning WB, listen up closely. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you once, on behalf of the fans, don't fuck this up. Straight up. Do not fuck this up. But it looks like you are. Because that's who you are. In the end, Netflix, we know what you're about. At least I know what you're about. You don't really care about the customers. You're all talk right now. And to all the fans that are like, oh, well, I want Netflix to buy them. Like I told you, when all of these promises are broken and majority of them don't happen and you don't get it how you think you're going to get it, don't come crying back. Don't come complaining saying, oh, they lied to us. And I'm going to come back and tell you, I told you, I warned you, and I let you know far in advance. But if this does happen, blame yourselves because this is the change that you wanted. I'm telling you, nothing is going to change with Netflix. Unfortunately, sorry to bust the bubble, but that's the bubble of reality. I'm sick and tired of hiding it and feeling, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, maybe they're onto something. No, they're not. They're just playing everybody. They really are. It smells like straight politics up in here. How are you going to turn down Paramount from buying for $108 billion? And you're just going to settle for what, $82 billion? Come on, that's a almost $22 billion difference. David Zaslav, we know you're a greedy person. Take that offer. Take the offer of $108 billion from Paramount. You're better off. Take that money, retire, and enjoy whatever's left. And let these companies do what they want to do, how they want to do it, the right way, when they really care about the brands. It's crazy. It's crazy when you have how all of these things going, and some fans are just like, yeah, you know what? I'll settle for anything. It shouldn't be like that. We're better than that. We're the customer. We're the consumer. Or we're just going to be like, yeah, give us what you want. Or we're going to have to accept it and bend both knees and say, give it to me however you want. Nah, we're better than that. In the end, the DCU and the DCEU can never and will never coexist. It's impossible. It's like saying water and oil can be together. They just can't. They're always going to be separate. No matter what you try to do, you try to stir it and you see the oil when it settles, it's still going to float to the top, whatever. That's the same way that this is too. Unfortunately, DC is not in that shape anymore. We've passed that long time ago. James Gunn had the opportunity when he did with the Suicide Squad. He had the opportunity when it came to Creature Commandos. He had the opportunity with Superman 2025. And now it's so long gone and it's lost, there's no repairing it. James Gunn did this on purpose with The Flash 2023, opening the multiverse, giving notes to Andy Muschietti. Oh, you know what will be funny? If we do this and we do that. How about we remove Ben Affleck, which is the Batman of the DCEU, has always been, right? The only one actor in all Batman history that never got his own standalone film. Make it make sense. That's like saying to Disney, hey, Disney, make an Iron Man movie, but never make a movie with Iron Man himself. How? Make it make sense. That's exactly what WB is all about. They don't care. And if they don't care, why should we? This is why we're showing them, hey, look, honestly, we in the end have the power. As fans and consumers, hey, I'm not going to watch that. Look at how the fans are turning on Disney right now. Disney lied to the fans and say, hey, you know what? Come watch Avatar and you're going to see a preview of the next Doomsday Avengers, right? For the trailer. Guess what? It's not happening. It's not happening. People are pissed. They're walking out of screenings for Avatar. That's affecting Avatar. That's affecting Disney. Once again, they're screwing up because they're putting money over fans. I'm telling you straight up. Honestly, that's not a good business move. It really isn't. It really isn't, honestly. And people are tired of that. And I'm glad that people are walking out. And just like that, look, honestly, cancel those Netflix subscriptions. I don't have it. I don't need it. Until they tell us, hey, look, honestly, we're going to restore Snyderverse. We're going to apologize and we're going to make peace with Zack Snyder. We want to apologize to Ray Fisher. If anybody deserves an apology, is Ray Fisher. Because when Joss Whedon was there, he straight up toyed around and he disrespected him. And even Ray Fisher said it. He's like, nah, man, accountability over entertainment. And I'm with that too. I'm like, yo, honestly, all you need to do is just straight up apologize to Ray Fisher. That's all he wants. But WB and their ego, nah, they're like, nah, we can't apologize. We can't do that. That's not good. That's not our motto, baby. Come on, man. What's so hard? Just call him up, go public and say, look, we apologize. We apologize because Joss Whedon was a pure dickhead. On behalf of WB, we apologize. That's it. That's it. You see how easy that is? It literally just takes like probably 3 seconds. If you could give Henry Cavill a 3-second cameo in Black Adam, you can call Ray Fisher and straight up give him an apology in probably 3 seconds or less. All you got to do is like, hey, look, Ray Fisher, yeah, I'm so and so from Netflix. We're gonna be buying this bitch WB, but we're cleaning house. And on behalf of all of those dickheads, I want to tell you straight up, we're sorry. You want to work with us again? All right, let's good. We're good. Let's fix, the bad relationship, blah, blah, blah. Let's go. Let's make this money. That's it. That's it. That's how easy it is. Damn. Netflix, call me. I'll call them on behalf of your dumbasses and I'll apologize for y'all. Shit, give me a check. I'll do it. That shit is easy. That's not a fucking problem. But they make it into a problem. Why? Because they carry agendas. That's why. That's the problem. And when you have these hard-headed studios like that they literally don't care, what is that telling you? If you don't care, why should I? Plain and simple. You don't care, neither do I. What can we do? That's how it has to be. You just have to apologize. That's it. There's nothing hard to that. There's nothing hard to do that. But the studio apparently can't do that because, their ego. Oh, that's not going to look good, right? Oh, we're going to please the fans. We can't do that, right? Yeah. Yeah. I completely see it a different point of view. In the end, yeah, Hollywood is all about money. That's true. But look, in order for you to give them money, they have to deliver. That's it. Just deliver in a good service, and everybody's going to straight up, I'm telling you right now, it it's crazy. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild in the sense of this whole entertainment business. This is why you're seeing that Hollywood is being affected. Hollywood is a mess right now. It's worse than what it was before the pandemic. The pandemic added more to it. It just made it much more worse. But right now, Hollywood is falling apart. Hollywood is completely in shambles right now, and they know it. AI is taking over. AI soon is going to replace everything. And again, you just can't stop it, unfortunately. And that's the same thing that DC is in the same mess. You know, they opened this door. They brought this upon themselves. They could have fixed this several times, but they didn't. And for that, that's why they are where they are. Unfortunately, hopefully things change, but I don't see it. I really don't see it, honestly. Not with Netflix. I don't see that happening with them. It will be a surprise if it does, and probably they could prove me and those that think opposite, and I'll be like, hey, you know what? They proved me wrong. But until that doesn't happen, yeah, I don't see anything changing anytime soon. And this is why, like I said, if this sale does happen with Netflix, please, I'm asking you all, don't forget what our mission is. Don't settle for anything, and don't be like, yeah, whatever, they bought them out, we're good, we're eating good. No, we're not. The mission still continues for restoring the Snyderverse. If Netflix, you're gonna own this IP, it would be best for business if you continue and you restore the Snyderverse, because that's where the money is at. Do a Ben Affleck standalone movie. I guarantee you, you're going. And if you really want to make theatrical releases like you're saying you are, guess what? You have $1 billion waiting right there. You want another $1 billion? Go ahead and make and announce Man of Steel 2. You have $2 billion coming your way, guaranteed. You want to make three, four, $5 billion? Go ahead and announce Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. Go ahead and release the air cut. I guarantee you, you have money every single door if you do that. All you have to do is very simple. All you have to do is just announce that you're restoring the Snyderverse. It's that easy. There's nothing complicated. Everything is already built, everything is already there. All you have to do is just go public and announce it. Hey, these are the plans that we have with DC. We're going to move away from James Gunn. We're going to bring in Zack Snyder, and we're going to continue where things left off. With that, we're going to restore the Snyderverse. And I guarantee you, money will be coming your way from every part of the world. Subscribers. Hell, I'll be subscribing myself to your platform. But until you don't do that, again, talk is cheap. And when it comes down to it, I'm telling you straight up, I am done with talk, because actions is what speaks. Actions is what tells everybody, everywhere. All right, let's see. Let's see what you're all about. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to bring you money. People just want good entertainment. If Netflix, your model's all about you really want to please the customer, you really want to give the customer what they want, give us what we want. Restore the Snyderverse. I don't care what you're doing at, at Netflix. I don't care what you do with other IPs. I only care about what you're going to do with DC. How you're going to do with DC, and where you're going to put us. If you try us and you do us exactly like Warner Brothers did, guess what? We're still going to keep our wallets closed. And guess what? We're still going to boycott you. And guess what? You're still going to hear us talk and still keep on asking for restore the Snyderverse. Because in the end, we just want you to deliver good quality. That's all. That's all we want. We want good quality. That's it. It's not hard. That's not difficult. All we're asking for is just good entertainment. And in the end, you deliver. You deliver the goods. We're giving us the Snyderverse back, and we will deliver you with our wallets open, digital, physical, checks, whatever the hell you want. Hey, we got it. That's not a problem. Just don't ignore us, and don't do us like what James Gunn did. He ignored us since day one. He's still ignoring us. And guess what? That's why DC is going down the drain. That's why it's going down the drain. Unfortunately, in the end, look, people just want to support good entertainment. That's it. People don't want slop. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. And it'll never work, honestly. People just want to watch these movies, enjoy them, collect them, because of course we want to add them to our collections, physical media, and Netflix straight up has always been everything against that. But we'll see what's gonna come from this. We're gonna see what's gonna happen, and we'll see exactly. Yeah, I agree with you, Mad Max. Brainiac, James Gunn stole Brainiac. He did. That was what we were gonna see in Man of Steel 2. And remember recently that they asked James Gunn, "Hey, is Brainiac? Are you teasing towards him?" And what did James Gunn say? Oh no, he lied. See what I'm saying? And now what do we have? He officially announced yesterday that Brainiac is going to be the main villain in whatever the hell Superman they're doing next, right? Man of Tomorrow. He again stole the name. That was supposed to be Man of Steel with Henry Cavill to Man of Tomorrow. He stole Brainiac and he stole the title. What is that telling you? That James Gunn is a hack. He always has been and he'll always be a hack. I'm telling you, that's who he is, unfortunately, you know? And again, people just want good movies. People are tired of all this nonsense. People are just tired of all this agenda and stuff like that. And, you know, it's it's wild. It's wild, you know? Um, yeah, the little fans that James Gunn has, it's not enough. You know, he doesn't really have the supporters like that, and it's proof because you're seeing it at the box office. Those numbers are not delivering the way that they thought it was. But it is what it is. What can we do? In the end, like I said, it's restore the Snyderverse, or we continue to keep our wallets closed. That's it. It's that simple. In the end, we're gonna keep on fighting for what we believe in. We're gonna keep on fighting, and we know what is quality, and that's all that it matters, you know. Because, like I said, it's all about what you give the customer, and if you don't deliver to the customer what they really want, then guess what? We continue. We continue to do what we've been doing, and in the end, there's no stopping us. There really isn't, you know. And look, honestly, it's just we're at this because the studio has allowed it. WB has allowed this for all these years, and instead of pleasing us, they've just gone away. All they had to do is literally give us what we want, that easy, and we wouldn't be here. We really wouldn't be here. It's a shame, but what can we do? You know, we're gonna keep on fighting. We will stop at nothing. In the end, the Snyderverse is going to make a comeback. There is no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And seeing how everything is moving, you know, at the rate that it's moving, I'm telling you all, have faith, hope, lots of endurance, and most of all, we have to have lots of patience. Don't fall for the lies of Netflix. They're trying to just gain, you know, points from the audience to convince everybody. But in the end, I see right through them. Like I said, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. And actions is what's showing you everything. Like I said, we have to keep on fighting. We're going to keep on showing the studio, hey, look, this is what we want. Until you deliver, then we'll stop and we'll move on. Until that doesn't happen, guess what? We're going to keep on fighting. With that being said, thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure to keep updated with all the videos, all that stuff. YouTube is playing games. They're not trying to, like, you know, show the algorithm, whatever, all that crap. Just hit that subscribe, the hype, all that really helps the channel and stuff like that. With that being said, I'm going to catch y'all on the next one, and peace out.